Hello and welcome to Shay Zasaa and a Zasaa Zooms In. And I've got a full house today. Now, I think you've met everybody, but let me just introduce them all to you. I have got Karin. Hey, Karin. I've got Gillian, GK.
Hello.
And Dele.
Hello.
Yeah, you've met all of them. You should know all of them. And if you don't, that means you're not watching properly. Okay. Okay, now today we are going to talk about something that I've actually talked about before with other ladies on this program, and we're talking about, can a woman have it all? Now, if you watch those ones, you will know that we came to the conclusion that it depends. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you what we came to conclusion. I'm just going to ask the question. So let me see, where should I start? Gillian.
Oh.
You weren't
My
expecting
smile
that.
worked. What the smile was, don't call on me.
Yeah, well, you know, they always say that, you know, if you turn away, if you do something, you're the one that's going to get picked on. So what do you think? Do you think a woman can have it all?
I think a woman can have as much or as little as they want, based on how they make their decisions, on what choices they make, how they decide to make the choices. I think the issue with the question about a woman having it all is about the idea of the society and what they think a woman should be doing. So there's this premise that's introduced by the question that a woman should be, you know, the proverbial Proverbs 31 woman who does it all. You know, you have your career, you've got your children, your home, and everything's balanced very well. But in reality, a woman has a choice to decide, for example, not to have children. Mm-hmm. A woman has a choice to decide not to have a career. Mm-hmm. And not to be married even. Yep. But the question doesn't presuppose that, and I think therein lies the rub. What do you think?
I think you have to decide first of all what it is that having it all means.
Yes.
To some women that will be having a family. Mm-hmm. To some women it will be a career. To some women, as you said, it will be married, not married. What does it mean to have it all? When I was younger, my thought process was that I would settle down, get married, have children. I had children before I was married. And I thought it was going to be easy because I wanted to be a really good mum, and I entered into it with a lot of positive attitude and threw myself in wholeheartely and drowned multiple times.
See, we've all done that.
And I thought that once I'd established my family that I would still have time for a career, and it wasn't the case. And I've had to through my lifetime as a mother, I've grown as a person. I've learned a lot of things. I've found it very, very difficult. But ultimately, I lost my own identity. And my struggle to regain that enabled me to have a career. But it was a difficult path. Definitely.
Can I just say, in case you don't know, in case you haven't watched one of the previous episodes with Karin, Karin has 7 children. So when she says as a mother, she's not talking about one child that she was balancing. She's talking about...
Okay. He is like 4 children.
Gillian is taking offense because she has 4. No, it's not a competition. I'm just giving context. That's all. Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Karin. Dele, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Gillian and Karin. It's down to what you define all to mean, you know. So when my girls were younger and I had to change career and I went into teaching, I felt that was my all. And looking back now, I see why I was in teaching or why I'm still in teaching. That is all for me. Now, they're getting out of school. I'm going to have a new all because I'm going to change. So, yes.
Oh, you're going to change?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. It's funny because you guys have identified quite quickly, but maybe I just got some, you know, that's what's having it all depends on what it all means, which we didn't quite get to that in the other ones for a while, you know, because I think we came with what you said, that whole thing of, is it a family, is it a, you know, having it all the way the society like says you have it all. For me, I was saying that to have it all, for me, as far as I'm concerned, is peace. So for me, I feel like a woman can have it all because I'm not looking at it as all those things that people were looking at. But I think it's true that most people... So, okay, what would you say now? Because I think now in this, I mean, back in our time, we're of a certain age. Back in our...
Speak for yourself. I'm 34. I'm sticking to that story. If anybody asks you,
Oh my gosh.
With how many years practice?
Well, exactly. Exactly. So back in my time, let me speak for myself. Back in my time, being as I'm the youngest here, back in my time, there was that thing of almost like the societal pressure maybe to have a job, have a family, get married at a certain age, and all of that. Do you think that nowadays that the girls are facing that same... Or is it because I see a lot of girls now that, I mean, they are getting married, but they're getting married later. They tend to have a career, So do you think that it has changed, this whole thing of kind of women have it all? Do you think that that's not even a thing with them? Who's going? Okay.
I don't think it's a thing with them. I think the girls now, they're more confident. They don't wait for someone to tell them what they can be or what they can't be. They decide and they go for it. And they're not letting anything or anyone limit them. So they're grabbing their all and defining their all regardless of what others are saying, I think.
Which is what we wanted for them, so
I
that's
mean, in
great
my
if
time,
that's true.
jokes aside, in my time, because I'm quite a bit older than you, in my time, there was a pressure to be married. And there was less emphasis on a career. I mean, go to university, get a degree just so that you can say I'm educated. But the real goal was to get married. And so I had sort of an issue with that because I was never really how young girls always say, oh, I dreamt of my wedding day and all of it. I never had that. I was just, because I used to read a lot. Well, I still read a lot. And so I would travel to all these places in these books and, see all these places in the world and different characters, Amelia Earhart flying across the Atlantic and things like that. And I thought, well, I want to do that sort of thing. So that's how I found my way to be, well, I'm just going to be my person and do my thing. And so, I got married, that didn't quite work out. I had a child, I was a single parent for a long time. So I had to find my own way and do my own thing, which was why, I answered in that way. And the young people nowadays, had Michelle Obama as the First Lady of the United States. They have women astronauts, women world leaders, so it never occurs to them that you can't do. Rather, they challenge people that are in leadership that are my age or older and say, what do you mean we can't study women philosophers, for example? So, in that way, things have changed a lot from certainly when I was a girl.
I think it juxtaposes, though, this idea that let's just talk about young women for a moment. They have the opportunities to go out and study. They have the mental capacity to choose any kind of job or career that they want. However, they don't expect to be in that career for any length of time anymore. They don't expect for there to be jobs out there for them for life, which is when we were growing up, you expected to get a job. We expected to go, and particularly for men at that time, but we were expected to get married and be homemakers. And I think that over a period of time, it's become a bit of a dirty word to be a mother at home taking care of your kids, which is ridiculous. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. If somebody had said to me while I was bringing my kids up, well, you could go to work for a few days, I'd be like,
escape to the
please, can I go and do
hand
that?
the kids over to the nursery.
So, there's no respect for motherhood, and there's no expectation for young women or young men these days to have consistency in their work. It's very much a changing world.
It's really interesting because I chose to be a stay-at-home mom, and I always knew that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I knew that when I had kids, I wanted to raise my kids. So I knew that that was what I was going to do. However, I still felt that it was important that I got a degree or two, because I knew that I would get a backlash. So I almost got that degree to prove to them that it's not because I'm stupid, I'm at home, but because I've chosen to be at home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is funny because really, why should that matter? But I knew that's it's almost like people would, well, I thought, maybe I prejudged, but I thought that people would think that the reason I was at home was because I couldn't be anywhere else. So, you might as well be a mom because you're not intelligent enough to do anything else or whatever. So I thought I'll just get a degree or two to prove it, and then later on maybe I'll use the degree. But I had no intention, because in my mind I was like, I'm going to raise my kids. I did want to have 7 kids. Karen had 7. I didn't. I did want to have 7 kids. So in my mind, my life was going to be motherhood, and I would say it with pride. When they say, what do you do? I say, I mother, and people would look at me funny, like, why is she even saying it with any amount of, because I would say, I mother. Yes, I mother. That's what I do. But they didn't, after a while, it became a bit of a fad. People were, like, especially within the Christian community, they wanted to be the Proverbs 31 wife, stay at home, that sort of thing. But when I first started, it was like, why would you,
choose
but
that path?
the Proverbs 31 wife, just the point of correction.
She didn't stay at home. Exactly. She didn't stay at home.
She had her business,
Yeah.
and she was enterprising, and did her commercial stuff, which is what I mean by having it all. So the reason I think wrongly some people look down on stay-at-home mums is like they say, oh, is that all you want to be, a mother? Like,
Is that work?
Seriously? Who says that? The person must never have been a mother. Because one of the one of the greatest challenges I had about being a mother was the never-endingness of it. I mean, that's not a word, but you know what I mean. It was just on and on and on. When my child was little, you're changing nappies, you're cleaning up after them, you're picking them up, you're saying, don't put your hand in the socket, don't do that, don't eat the bread off the floor. It's just on and constant. And then you think, oh, when they're not that little, it's going to change, and they're going to be older, and they're going to go off to school. But it just doesn't change. Until they become, adults.
I think they don't tell you that motherhood, and I guess fatherhood too, but more so motherhood, is a lifetime job. They don't tell you that because it changes. It just changes.
Yes.
So you have to be full on when they're young, but then when they get to teenagers, it's a different type of attention you have. Then when they get, so it's like forever.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello, you should have sold us somewhere.
And so it's, there's this thing that went a couple of Mother's Days ago, I don't know if anybody saw it online, where there was this job interview.
Oh yes, I've seen it several years ago.
Where they were like, this is the job we have. Yeah. We just want to describe the job. You're not going to get any sleep. Yeah. It's 24/7. You're not going to get paid, by the way. Yeah. And you have to be able to drive. Yeah. You have to be able to, do maths and English, and you have to know, basically everything, because there's going to be a lot of questions. And everybody was looking at, all the interviewees were like, what?
What type of
and then
job
at
is
the
this?
end of it, they were like, that's motherhood. Yeah. So, when you leave this interview, call your mum. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. This is perfect, because like you said, nobody tells you that. Yeah. Nobody tells you that your, 29-year-old will feel free to call you in the middle of the night about a question. Because, it's my mum. And you spent this whole time, trying to reassure your children, I'm there for you. I'm always going to be here. I'm your mum. I love you. Yeah. You're my life. And then when they leave home, you're like, oh, thank God. And then they're calling you in the middle of the night saying, oh, mum, this happened and that happened. You're like, what? Didn't you leave home?
Look, I had this because it's half term this week, and I had my last one say to me yesterday. She said, I don't understand why you don't want to hang out with me. I said, first of all, I was flattered that she wanted me to hang out with her. But I was like, so what do you want? Because obviously there was something. Mm-hmm. So she wants me to take her out for lunch. I said, okay, fine. I told her we'll do it on Thursday. But of course, she hadn't booked her diary. She had nothing on yesterday, so she thought she would move me forward, So I was like, I can't do that. She said,
I know that feeling.
I don't understand, because you're my mother. I was like, okay. And it's back to this thing. I had this conversation, I don't know where, about expectations, where I feel like, so the expectation is you are my mother, I am free today.
Yep.
You
So
don't look like you're doing anything.
You told me
So-
you were going to be there.
Yeah, well, exactly,
So
you
why
know?
can't
So
you
it's
change
like,
your plans?
So
You change your plans.
You change your plans, and and I find well, I only have one child, so I always find myself obligated to do, whatever. Sometimes I grumble. I don't think I ever say no if it's something that I can do, that I'm available for. And sometimes even when I'm not available, I sort of shift things around a bit, and everything. But you're right, it is. And so when people are saying, "Oh, is that all you want to be, a mother?" It's like,
It's a lot.
no, that's just not a thing, because it's, for me anyway, it's the most. I said to my son one day, I said, "You're the best thing that's happened to me in my life." Because I thought about my life and all the things I've achieved and all the things I enjoyed, and there's a lot. But I thought just that opportunity to love someone unconditionally was something that I look back on and really appreciate that I had it in my life. And it's that, when you compare it to other things. And so when I said that to him, he was like, really?
after all the stress I've put you through.
He was like, really? I said, yeah, because, it's an experience that I really thank God that I had. But as Karen said, it's really hard.
It is time.
And nobody tells you that.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you that about. I remember asking my mum once, why doesn't anybody tell you about childbirth and how painful it is? And she said, well, if they tell you,
You wouldn't do it.
But you remember, Karen, I asked you when, because Karen used to have really, really bad morning sickness. And I'm like, if I had, I was like, if I had this type of
had
morning
that,
sickness, I would not go past 1. But Karen kept going. And do you remember what you said to me? When I said to you, why do you keep having children? And you said, because I can, and there's so many people I know that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, so I do, we had this discussion earlier, don't we? The combination of myself and my husband are very potent. And the systems that are put in place normally to control this environment doesn't work for me. None of them. Nothing at all. I've been pregnant with everything you can throw at me. So, literally. And it is a gift. They are
Yep.
gifts.
Yeah.
But I struggled as a mum so much. So much. It was really, really hard. And my relationship came into difficulty because I was so myopic, trying to be the best mum I could possibly be, failing constantly, that I didn't pay my husband any attention whatsoever. I mean, he would walk in the door and I'd literally take the children, just take them, take them away from me, take them. And I feel sad for my kids sometimes that they must have felt that. They must have felt that, but it wasn't
when you were
from-
handing them over.
Well,
at least you were handing them over to their
It
dad.
was exhausting. It was
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah.
It was exhausting. There were so many of them.
Which one are you again? But it's funny because I can't, these shows, they overlap. I don't know what I've said, so if I'm repeating myself, sorry. But I think it was with you that we had this conversation about. I had a friend who was a single mom, and I couldn't understand why she was. And both of you have had the experience of single motherhood, because see what we are saying about it being tiring, but at least we had someone that potentially would help if forced.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I always feel like for single mums, it must be. I mean, it was when I became a mum that I understood that actually, because even if he wasn't physically helping, I knew that he was
there.
emotionally there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think it makes a complete difference. So do you want to speak a bit to that? Either
Yeah,
way.
I mean, it's like you said, it's hard, and for me, I just decided, like I said, I read a lot. So I read a lot before while I was pregnant, I did a lot of reading about what children need, to be nurtured, and children do need 2 parents, by the way. And so just thought I'd throw that out there. So, I was very aware of that. I got divorced before my son was 2. And again, I have a son.
Yeah,
So I was very aware of the father not being in the home. And so that was part of my job as well. It added to my job as a mother. It was my job to introduce him to that male influence. Luckily I was in a church family. There were lots of men around who were, role model material. And so that's what I did. I sort of made sure that he was and he was an only child, so I made sure he was in company of other children, in company of other families, understood what the norm was, even if he wasn't experiencing it at home. And so that was part of my job. But on the practical level, it was hard, and you just have to put things in place. Dele knows me, and she says to me, "Oh, you're so strict," and I'm like, I'm really strict because I don't want to take out my frustrations on my child, because we live together. And when the mother is tired or depressed or anxious, the poor child suffers from that. And so it's also part of my job to take care of myself. And one of the examples of that was bedtime, where he didn't want to go to bed. And at 8 o'clock, there was no negotiating it, because I needed that time. I just needed, that time at the end of the day to have a cup of tea, watch, Real Housewives of whatever, or something, and and just decompress. If I didn't get that, it was going to be chaos, and for him as well, because if he doesn't, again, reading. Young children need a lot of sleep apparently. They need like 12 hours or something. And so if he doesn't get that 10-12 hours sleep, he's hyper the next day, and I'm tired, he's tired, everybody's tired. It's just a miserable family life. So I do that work, and over time, how kids with boundaries, over time he realizes, I have to go to bed at whatever time, even in the summer. He's like, why do I have to go to bed? It's still light. And so it's like being a single mother is really no different from being a mother who's married. It's just the same grind in a different way.
You don't think it's harder?
I think I can speak from both sides, because but for me, yes, even though my husband was there for a big chunk of the time, he wasn't physically there. So I was a single mother,
even though I was married,
de facto,
and then he passes away, which makes me a full single mother, if there ever such a thing. So I saw from both sides, and it is hard work. For me, I think the initial thing was I felt quite vulnerable initially, knowing that suddenly there's no one to bounce things off and take some responsibility. They all now lied on me, and that was a bit scary initially. But I think I'm just so blessed with two very easy girls that, they said to me, if I say sit, they sit. If I say stand, they stand. So when I said to people I've got two teenagers, they're like, oh gosh, I said, no, I'm having a blast. There's no stress.
How old are they?
18, almost 19 next month, and 16.
Well done.
Yeah, so they're quite compliant. They're good girls, So I've not found it difficult, but yes, when it comes to making decisions or doing things, sometimes I wish there was someone else I could just say, yeah, take them. You make that decision. It's not on me. You decide.
Yeah, I think that's probably where I think it would be the hardest, where it's like everything is on you, because at least if you share it. You share it. You know what I mean? Like, but when you, it's like, so if something goes wrong, it's like, well, I made that decision. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think sometimes it will be, but it's funny because somebody said to me, and I don't know if I've ever said this to, actually, no, I probably haven't. Somebody said to me once, I can't remember what it was, and they said, yeah, because you were raised by a single mother. But I was. But you know what? That connotation of single mother is not how you think. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, actually, I was raised by. Because I was like, I was a single mother. I wasn't raised by a single mom. But so it's also how you see it. And I think in this country, the way you say single mother, when you think of a single mother, you kind of think of, well, let me speak for myself. You think of those girls that have deliberately gone to get pregnant to get a council house or whatever. So like single mother by choice. probably the father was never going to be in the picture. So that's what I think of when I think single mother, or what I used to think of until they pointed out to me that I was raised by a single mother. Because single mother is divorce,
Yes.
widowhood. It's different things, but the way. Yeah, okay, wait, how many? Oh, look at the time. Okay, so we did start off talking about can a woman have it all? That was the conversation. But as is typical of Zasaa, and particularly, as typical of Zasaa, we've gone everywhere.
Yes.
And we've ended up in motherhood. And that's probably because a lot of the woman's role comes down to motherhood. We know we're generalizing, but there is an expectation and a thing that comes to motherhood. So, do you think that a woman can have it all? I said that it depends on what it all is, and for me, it all is peace. So I think that I can have it all. What is it all for you, Karen? You have seconds.
Having it all for me is happy, healthy family and outside interests.
What about you, Gillian?
Choice. Being able to make the choice to decide what to have.
Dele?
Yeah, for me, doing what I enjoy doing and just being me.
So what does having it all mean to you? What is it all for you? Let us know. Let us know whether you think you have it all, whether you think a woman can have it all. And we're talking because we're women, but can a man have it all? Because sometimes I think we leave men out of this equation totally. And really, can a man have it all? I don't know. Can a man have? That's another conversation entirely. We're not even going to start there. No. No, we're not going there. Please follow us. Oh my gosh, we're going to have to come back for that one and bring some men in.
Bring some men in, yes.
Do follow us on YouTube, please, and put the subscribe button, subscribe, and then the notifications, so when we send something out, you'll get it.